World of Tanks, How to Win More. There's three end game situations. Number one, you could be winning, which means you outnumber the enemy team. Number two, you might be about equal. Or number three, you're losing, which means the enemy team outnumbers you. And obviously, if you're winning, you don't have to worry so much about whether or not you're going to win the game. When you're about equal, there's a certain strategy you use. Being about equal with the enemy team means that you have a few teammates, they have a few teammates. You got to work together with your teammates to come up with a plan how you're going to win. And being outnumbered means you might be alone. I've been 1 versus 5, 1 versus 7, and then you got to do it all on your own. So if you're ahead near the end of the game, just don't do anything stupid and you should be fine. There's cases where people did stupid stuff like jump over a cliff and then all their allies did the same thing and then they lost the game. If you're about equal, like 4 versus 4, 3 versus 3, 2 versus 2, you should coordinate with your team and come up with an effective strategy. A lot of people won't listen and a lot of people will do stupid things. Target the lower tier tanks, the weaker tanks, the low hit point tanks. Regroup with your allies. Defend your SPG. Defend your weaker allies. Look for undefended SPG. Consider capping, scouting, spotting. Make sure you're within range of your allies so you can support each other. So, for example, if I'm playing with 3 SPGs and the opponent has 3 SPGs, I will go and spot. And I just do it immediately. And the reason why is your allies are going to have to take the enemy out. However, you're going to get the spotting damage. You're going to get the spotting damage. They're going to get the actual damage. They're not going to do it. An example of a game I saw, some people, they want to pet their stat patterns. They want to do damage, so they refuse to cap, and they will intentionally lose the game just so they can get an extra 50 hit points of damage, and they won't get on the cap. I have a video where the guy refused to get on the cap. We lost by 5 seconds because he thought he might be able to do some extra damage, but it ends up the enemy went to cap, and then it ended up being a draw, and it was his fault. He drove around the cap, and he did it because he didn't want the enemy to know where he was. If you're losing, you need to have a good strategy. You might be the last vehicle left. You cannot stay in one place because if you were spotted, there's a dot on the map showing the enemy where you are, and they're going to all pounce on you. If they know your position, they're going to come looking for you. If they come in one at a time and they all have low hit points, you're fine. But if they come in 2 at a time and they have full hit points, you're going to have problems. You got to get out of there. You want to avoid close combat when you're the last player. You want to snipe from a distance. You want to always be behind the enemy, avoid being spotted, switch to gold rounds. If I get to the point where I'm like, we've only got a few people left, I will switch to gold rounds. Doesn't happen very often. Try to avoid frontal confrontation, slow the game down, try to force a draw, run and hide. Slow the game down is running and hiding. Or you go and you take one shot, and then when they come looking for you, you go around somewhere else. There's players that are really good at it. Use high penetration or higher damage ammunition. Play overpowered tanks. This is how to win more. Okay, so there's 2 different types of ways to win more. I went through the strategic and tactical part. Nobody does this. Everybody talks about firing gold rounds to win more. So now we're going to talk about what you can do equipping your vehicle to win more. Use higher penetration rounds or higher damage ammunition. Play overpowered tanks with high win rates. Use your best crew and equipment. Use the field modification for alternate configuration. What that does is if you go into a game where you're top tier, you use your regular rounds. But if you're bottom tier, you can switch to all gold rounds if you want. Play with other players who have high win rate. Playing in a platoon with high win rate players gives you the best chance of increasing your win rate if they will play with you. I've been rejected from platoons when I first started out because my win rate was too low, and they don't want to ruin their win rate playing with a low win rate player. So you guys know there's a player named Quickie Baby who is married, and his wife plays. Her name is something like Peppy Peppers or something like that. Her win rate is like 56%, but she's not a good player. She is a very low ranked player with all of her statistics. The amount of damage she does and spotting she does is really low. But because she plays platooning with Quickie Baby, he is getting the high win rate and she is getting the high win rate, which is why win rates are not a measure of player skill because there's so much stat padding going on. Never play a stock vehicle. I used to play stock vehicles because I don't care, but now I'm trying to get the marks of excellence. I don't play stock vehicles anymore. I use my free EXP to get the better modules, and I rarely play anything near stock. Reduce your FPS, latency, drop packets, and ping time. If you reduce your FPS, you'll get better performance. I used to live in South America. The day I moved to New York, my win rate skyrocketed. It went from like 49% to 56%. And my WN8 went up by 15% the day I arrived in New York because the ping time was like 50 milliseconds. And in South America, it was 250 milliseconds. Playing on the same server. North America, I didn't play on the LATAM server. Get a solid state drive, etc. I actually play off of an SD card, not my hard drive. Consider playing lower tier tanks. They say you play lower tier, you play one to get the kills and another one for your win rate. No, another one for doing damage. So I believe you play higher tier for damage and lower tier for kills, and that's how you pad the WN8. Play on a different day of the week, different time of day, different server. Use replay analytics software to determine when you have the highest win rate. I discovered I have higher win rates on the weekends when the gameplay is more challenging because during the week, everybody is so bad. I get frustrated. And because I'm spotting, they won't do anything. What am I supposed to do? I can't help the team win if I'm spotting and they won't shoot at the targets. So look at your time of day, day of the week, and it will impact your win rate. I literally, when I'm working on my third gun mark, I won't play during the week. I'll only play on weekends. And more so when there's a 5-time victory bonus, because that's when it's very competitive. And my play style of being very aggressive is better when it's competitive. Play the vehicles that you own which have the highest win rate. This is an example over here. Use a second account for testing or goofing around so it doesn't affect your win rate. That's what the stat patters do. Use a mod such as XVM that assists players in improving their win rate. XVM is for stat padding. It will tell you if another tank has a high win rate. So the players will just avoid them. And it will tell you who has a low win rate. So the stat patters will go after the bad players and they'll avoid the good players. It's kind of cheating, not available to everyone. So it's kind of unfair. I don't use it, but that's something that people do to stat pad. And they think they're better players. You're not a better player if you avoid a good player and you go after and you bully the if you're a SEAL clubber. I mean, they're just lying to themselves. That's why win rate is not a true measure of player skill. Avoid playing during any competition that has a popular prize. Well, like, I guess it depends. For me, I would do it because the best players play when the game gives the best rewards, such as a marathon mission or 5 times victories. For me, that's when I get the higher win rates because they're going to be very aggressive, which means when I'm spotting, I'm going to get tons of spot damage. And at the end of the game, they're not going to hide. At the end of the game, if it's not competitive, my team's going to hide, and I'm trying to find the enemy, but my team's not going to back me up. They're going to run and hide. I need the best players on my team, so when I find the enemy, they start assisting in defeating them and winning the game. Ask Wargaming to restart or re-roll your account because it resets your statistics, including win rate, currency, and you start your new account. You keep your premium vehicles, but not reward vehicles. So you keep anything you paid for in cash, but you lose anything that you've earned that was free, such as from the campaign missions. Now you see over here I sorted by victories. My Black Prince, 69% over 55 battles. That's pretty good. He's probably got the first gun mark already. So you play these vehicles and your win rate will go up. And let's say you play the win rate could be tier 1 vehicles. So if you play the FTBS and it starts going down, then play the Object 274A and it'll start going down, and then play the M15. Always play your highest win rate vehicles and your win rate will increase, something that stat patterns do. And of course, put your best crew, best ammo, and your best equipment. Now I'm going to tell you there are premium vehicles that are 100% identical to the tech tree vehicles. Almost always, I get higher win rates in the tech tree vehicle and lower win rates in the premium vehicles. I compared like 15 of them, and it was true in virtually every case. Not sure why. Like I said, they're equipped. Like I said, they're equipped the same. So here's some information about winning. Under field modification, there's an option called alternate configuration. It allows you to switch configuration. You see how it has the 1 and the 2? So what you can do, if you get into a tough battle, you hit the 2 and it's all gold rounds. Or you hit the 1 and it's all regular rounds. Or you hit the 2 and you use the food consumable. So you got 2 different loadouts, and you can decide after you see who you're up against. So this is a very important configuration. The best players are going to be using it. It gives you an advantage. This is an example of what a configuration is. You'll have a 1 and a 2, and when you click on the 2, it shows you a separate loadout that you choose before the game. And you can choose this during the battle countdown timer after you reviewed who your opponents are. Very valuable item for your tanks, and you should get it for tanks that you're working on marks of excellence, mastery badges, etc. Okay, so that's how to win more. The biggest tips: platoon with someone who has a very high win rate if they'll platoon with you. Fire gold rounds. Play your vehicles that have the highest percentage of victories. If you have any questions or comments, please post below. Go to cheapbooks.cc. Look for the War Games World of Tanks section. Or go to video-game-news.com and look for World of Tanks.